Arkadaşlar herkese merhaba. Şu an gelenleri içeri alıyorum. Academix Yurtdışı Eğitim Danışmanlık ve Universita Cattolica'da del Sacro Cuore, İtalya'daki en popüler üniversitelerden bir tanesini bugün online olarak ağırlayacağız. Süreçlerle alakalı zaten buradaysanız SMS ve mail olarak katılım konfirmasyonu aldığınız anlamına geliyor ama katılmak isteyen arkadaşlarınızla da Zoom linkimizi paylaşabilirsiniz. Eventimiz, etkinliğimiz açık bir etkinlik. O yüzden paylaşmanıza herhangi bir sakınca yok. Etkinliğimizin katılımcısı okulun yetkilisi Aishah Pathak bizlerle birlikte olacak. Etkinliğin dili İngilizce ama gerek etkinlik esnasında gerek soru cevap kısmında sorularınız olursa chat kısmından Türkçe'de yazabilirsiniz. Zaten bununla alakalı da zorlandığınız bir kısım olursa ben de yardımcı olacağım. Onun dışında da etkinlik esnasında da sorular sorabilirsiniz. Etkinliğin bitmesini de bekleyebilirsiniz. Zaten Ayşe ile yaptığımız ilk sunum değil, sunumlarında genellikle bütün bilgileri içeriyor. Ama haricen bir sorunuz olursa da lütfen çekinmeden Türkçe'de İngilizce yazın veya mikrofonunuzu ya da kameranızı açarak da sorabilirsiniz. Ben öncelikle kısa bir Academix'ten bahsedeceğim. Akabinde de sözü Ayşe'ye bırakacağım ve Ayşe bize Katolika'daki lisans ve yüksek lisans programlarıyla alakalı olarak genel bir bilgilendirme yapacak. Zaten bu genel bilgilendirmelerde de okulla alakalı aklınıza gelebilecek giriş şartları, burslar ya da hangi tip bölümler var, bölümlerin içerikleriyle alakalı sizi çok da sıkmayacak bir sunum planlıyoruz. Yaklaşık bir saat falan sürmesini düşünüyoruz. Genellikle onun farklı 30 dakika falan sürüyor. Benimki 10 dakika, 20 dakika falan da soru cevapla altı sularında bitirmiş oluruz diye düşünüyorum. Ama uzarsa da tabii ki vaktimiz var. Siz ne zaman sorularınız biterse o zaman etkinliğimizi tamamlayabiliriz. Kısaca başlayalım. Akademikten bahsedeceğim. Zaten çoğunuz zaten bizim öğrencilerimiz olabilirsiniz ya da bizimle şu an Katolika ile alakalı görüşen öğrencilerimiz olabilirsiniz. Eğer Academix'le ya da Cattolica ile daha önce yolları kesişmeyen olursa da bu konuyla alakalı zaten ilgili şube size yardımcı olacak. Şu an etkinlikteki herkesin aslında Academix'in kayıtlı öğrencisi olsa da olmasa da birer tane danışmanı mevcut. Etkinlik sonrasında ilgili danışman sizlere en yakın şube neresiyse atıyorum Mersin'de ikamet ediyorsunuzdur, Adana şubeye aktarılacaksınız. Ankara'da ikamet ediyorsunuzdur, Ankara'ya aktarılacaksınız. O yüzden şu an daha hepinizin birer tane danışmanı var ve etkinlik bittikten sonra ilgili şubeden sizin ekstra sorularınız olup olmadığıyla alakalı da dönüşler size yapılacak. Önce bir Katolika'dan bahsedeceğim. 1921 yılında kurulan bir üniversite, özel bir üniversite. 100. yılını dolduruyor ve Cattolica bünyesinde İngilizce ve İtalyanca program imkanları mevcut. Genellikle biz lisans, 2 yıllık master ya da 1 yıllık specializing master dediğimiz özel master imkanı sunan bir üniversite diyebiliriz. Cattolica için 5 farklı kampüste Milano, Roma, Piacenza, Cremona ve Brescia'da olmak üzere 5 farklı kampüsü var ve 30'dan fazla İngilizce, 200'den fazla da İtalyanca bölüm alternatifi var. Biz ağırlıklı olarak neredeyse öğrencilerimizin %95'i zaten İngilizce eğitim sağlanan bölümlerde eğitim imkanı buluyorlar. QS anlamında zaten reputasyonu oldukça yüksek. Zaten ekranlarında göreceğiniz gibi 13 farklı alanda zaten ilk 300'de yer alan bir üniversite. Bunun dışında da zaten genel QS sıralamasına baktığınızda da 550 ila 560 arasında bir yerde görebiliyoruz Katolika'yı. En popüler bölümleri tabii ki çoğunluğunuz burada şu an tıp fakültesi için buradasınız. Kayıtlardan da zaten ilgilendiğiniz bölümler için de size ulaşıldı. Ama sadece tıp alanında değil, bunun dışında ekonomi, finans, ziraat, uluslararası ilişkiler, ticaret, ekonomi ya da işte iletişim ya da psikoloji gibi bölümler içinde zaten imkan bulacaksınız. Hatta sanat yönetimi gibi enteresan bölümler de var. Mühendislik vesaire gibi alanlarla alakalı maalesef şu an için en azından İngilizce bir bölümümüz yok Katolika'da. Fakat İtalya'da mühendislik düşünüyorsanız çok fazla alternatifimiz var. Ayrıca Academix'e ulaşarak İtalya'daki diğer opsiyonları da öğrenebilirsiniz. Genel bir tanıtım yaptım Cattolica ile alakalı. Soru var galiba. İngilizce olarak hukuk maalesef yok ama hukuk olarak biz zaten portfolyomuz Academix olarak hukuk çok fazla bölümümüz var. Bize ulaşabilirsiniz. Hangi ilde ikamet ettiğinizi belirterek yardımcı olabiliriz. Ama bugün Katolika'da maalesef hukuk yok. Fakat hukukta okuyup yan dal isteyenler olabiliyor. International Relations vesaire bu gibi bölümler. Bununla alakalı imkan bulabileceğiz. Akademikten biraz bahsetmem gerekirse 96 yılında kurulan bir firmayız. Bunun dışında bizim 6'sı İstanbul'da, yaklaşık Türkiye'de şu an için 16 tane şubemiz mevcut. Sadece Türkiye'den değil, dünyanın dört bir yanından öğrencilerimiz olabiliyor. Türkiye'de yaşamanızın bir şart olmadığını söyleyebilirim akademik öğrencisi olmak için. Bunun dışında biz öğrencilerimize zaten full paket bir hizmet veriyoruz. Kayıt işlemlerinin yürütülmesi, kayıt işlemlerinin yapılması, süreçle beraber İtalya'daki pre-enrollment ve denklik süreciyle beraber öğrencilerin vize başvurularının yapılmasından tutun, gerektiği takdirde uçak bileti ve varış oryantasyonuna kadar bütün her şeyi biz size Cattolica için ücretsiz bir şekilde sağlıyor olacağız. Bunun dışında Academix zaten en az Cattolica kadar reputasyonu, yani ünlü olan bir firma ki son 4 yıldır üst üste Avrupa'da Doğu Avrupa'nın acentası ödülüne layık görüldük. Siz öğrencilerimiz ve okullarımızın destekleriyle de umarım bu ünvanımızı sürdürme şansımız olacak önümüzdeki yıllarda da, ki Cattolica'da bu anlamda bizim en eski çalıştığımız okullardan ve en memnun kaldığımız okullardan bir tanesi. Bugün zaten detaylı bilgiler alacaksınız. Chat kısmında eğitim bilimleri evet var ama alan biraz spesifik, onunla alakalı Aishah'dan detay almamız gerekecek. Belki İtalyanca da olabilir. Onunla alakalı sunum esnasında bu soruyu tekrar soracağım. Akademik olarak bizim program portfolyomuzda ekranda gördüğünüz gibi açıkçası Work and Travel ve doktora hariç her şeyi yapıyoruz. Aklınıza böyle kalabilir. Ekranda da gördüğünüz gibi daha çok dil, lisans, master, sınav hazırlık kursları, junior kamplar, sertifika diploma programları, summer session programları keza Cattolica'da da var. Yazın bazı kredilerinizi yurt dışında alıp döndüğünüzde üniversitede bazı derslerden muaf olabildiğiniz programlardır bunlar. Bunun dışında lise değişim programları ve sigorta, konaklama, çeviri ve uçak bileti gibi paket hizmet sağladığımız bir süreç. Web sitemize zaten girdiğiniz zaman akademikle alakalı bütün programları ve sağladığımız bütün okullarınızı ya da partner olduğumuz bütün üniversiteleri görme şansınız olacak. Etkinliklerimiz sürekli devam ediyor. Pandemi süresinde aslında çok fazla etkinliklerimizi online yapmak durumunda kaldık, takdir edersiniz ki. Genelde biz bu etkinlikleri aslında yüz yüze İstanbul, Ankara, İzmir gibi büyük şehirlerde Ayşe'yi de Türkiye'ye davet ederek yüz yüze yapıyorduk. Ama pandemi sebebiyle bir süredir online olarak ilerliyoruz ve bu etkinliklerimizi web sitemizden, etkinlikler sayfasından görebilirsiniz. Etkinliğimiz oldukça sürekli oradan güncel olarak takip edebilirsiniz. Bugünkü etkinliği kaçırırsanız ya da bazılarınız dersten çıkıp gelecek veya kimisi dersten çıkıp izleyip derse gitmesi gerekenler olabilir. O yüzden biz bunların bir kaydını da YouTube'daki Academix News kanalımıza ekleyeceğiz. Kaçırırsanız ya da tekrar dinlemek istediğiniz bir kısım olursa da buradan izleyebilirsiniz ya da geçmişteki etkinliklerimizi de buradan takip edebilirsiniz. Hatta ekranda da belki görüyorsunuzdur. Geçmişte yaptığımız bir Cattolica etkinliğimiz daha var. Hatta oldukça talep gören bir okul olduğu için belirli aralıklarla zaten Cattolica'ya etkinlik yapıyoruz. Benim kısmım bu kadar. Şimdi sözü ben Ayşe'ye bırakacağım. Size Cattolica ile alakalı genel bir bilgilendirmede bulunacak. Ekran paylaşımını sonlandırıyorum ve Ayşe'yi eğer şu an için galiba sorumuz yok, Ayşe'ye sözü bırakacağım. Aishah.
Hello.
Hey.
Teşekkürler Selçuk. Hello everyone. Good evening for you. You're 2 hours ahead now, no? So
Yes.
thank you for taking 1 hour of your precious afternoons. Maybe some parents are joining us. I doubly appreciate it. Maybe you have to cook dinner, but you're listening in instead. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, well, hello. Welcome as well from my personal perspective. My name is Aishah Pathak, and I have been awarded the honor of being Turkey country manager for the last 10 years since I work at Cattolica. So it's with immense pleasure that I talk to you all, even if it is through a screen, but I can imagine the warmth of my Turkish friends and students and their parents and their families when I am usually in a hotel trying to talk to you and doing presentations. But okay, we manage on a screen as well. Okay, let me share my screen and my presentation.
Aishah, actually, we got already a couple questions which may relate with your presentation. I will just let you finish all the things that you would like to share with our students today, and then
Okay.
if it does not cover what they ask, I will be asking next round.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, that's a good point. Get those questions in. I usually try to cover a lot of information in one. Well, it's not true. I won't be talking to you for an hour straight. I'll be talking to you for 30 minutes maximum, because exactly, it's better to answer your questions directly. But if I am speaking too fast or anything is unclear, yeah, use the chat, and Sergio and his team can definitely keep an eye on that, and we will make sure you don't leave the Zoom room without your answers. Okay. Okay, perfect.
Bu
Well,
arada arkadaşlar, sorularınızı önden hemen aklınızda sorular varsa şu an gelmeye başladı mesela tıp fakültesiyle alakalı. Şimdiden de yazabilirsiniz. Yukarıdan başlayıp aşağı doğru sorular ineceğim. Sunum esnasında şu an peşin peşine yazabilirsiniz. Yes, Aishah, it's your turn.
floor is mine. Okay, listen, you guys have access to brochures, you have access to websites, and by all means, you have access to the best, which is Academix. I'm sure you've already said this, Sergio, but just to emphasize, from the institution perspective, to the students and to the families listening, use Academix to your advantage, in the sense that they are our representatives for the last 10 years for Cattolica. They know, they've sent students on pretty much every program that we offer. And so whatever is unclear, or you may get a question tonight or tomorrow and I'm not there to answer, you definitely turn to their offices, their 14 branches, because they will be able to assist, and we are in daily contact pretty much. So by all means, don't think that this is the only occasion, of course, to find out the information. Also, I don't expect you to know everything and to have everything in 30 minutes. I just want to give you some key points that you don't find on a website, you don't find on a brochure, so that you can get the conversation going. That's the ultimate goal for me, just to get you thinking. There are many Italian universities in Turkey now promoting. We're not the same. There are 96 Italian universities to discover. Not all of them have the same application procedures, entry requirements, costs, and of course, those unique selling points that characterize the university. So here I am to just give you an introduction of what Cattolica may suit you or may not. This is what you need, especially the students listening right now. This is what I want you to understand, if this could be a good fit for you, because that's, of course, where we want you to be happy. And that's our goal. So let's start with a general question. Why are you looking at Italy? You could be looking at Canada, the US, Netherlands, right? Australia, all those countries where so many thousands of Turkish students have gone, increasingly also to Italy. Do you think it's a coincidence or not so much? Probably not. I think for a Turkish student, and I've been saying this for a long time now, there are some very strong reasons to choose Italy as a country. Okay, so forget it, just the university. Within the country itself, I mean, okay, everyone usually thinks, Italia is beautiful, and I go for tourism, or my dad works in Italy and he always brings back nice food, and yeah, okay, that's okay, but not to invest thousands of euros to go study. So why? Well, a couple of things. First of all, in thinking about the country relationship between Italy and Turkey, despite a pandemic that has affected the economy of the whole world, but despite that, in 2020, we had 15 billion euros of commercial relationships. At least pre-COVID, 4 direct Turkish airline flights from Istanbul, full of business people, not necessarily people going on holiday, okay? I have been able to see over the years, there is a tangible relationship between Italy and Turkey. So when you go and study and afterwards you go and find a job, of course, regardless of how good the university or the degree is, why would you not go to a country where there is so much business partnerships and valuable networking going on, okay? Our healthcare system, if any of you are interested in medicine, that's something to consider. You know that COVID hit us bad, but we're actually one of the first countries in Europe doing exceptionally well in recovering as well. We were ranked #1 in the country, in the whole of Europe, and 3rd in the whole world by Bloomberg for healthcare efficiency. So if you're interested in studying healthcare management or interested in medicine, that is something to consider. Food and wine. Food and wine are major exports also, of course, for Turkey. I know, of course, Turkey has a very strong food culture, but also a very strong dairy production, dried fruit production, of course. So that also is something to consider as viewpoints. And if any of you are also thinking about food marketing, food studies, why would you not do it in Italy, which is what we do? Of course, made in Italy products, not just about food. Things like luxury items, not just fashion. Of course, Milan is capital of fashion, but of course, even just things like yachts and Ferrari cars and maybe expensive watches. This is what Italy does. And again, that is our core business also when it comes to exporting to different countries. A ginormous cultural heritage, of course. So frankly speaking, in 10 years of coming to Turkey, I think we're quite similar, which is interesting because if some of you are, especially the young ones of you, 17 or 18-year-olds that are going to come and join university, I can imagine that culture shock is something real when you go and study abroad. It will help the fact that Italy, as a Mediterranean country, is not so different, I believe, from a lot of Turkish culture. Of course, there is some differences, and good that there is, otherwise we would be all the same. That is what employers love, cultural IQ. No one can teach you that. No university teaches cultural IQ. That is something you experience with studying abroad. So by all means, of course, use the cultural heritage that we have, the country with the most UNESCO websites and stuff. So, you know, use that again in a creative way, not just from a tourist point of view. But Cattolica itself, now thinking more about us, has 5 different campuses across the country. We are the largest private university in Europe. So the Zoom background that you see behind me, you may recognize it also in the photo, is Milan. This is a campus where probably most of you will go and join and study because it is the campus with the most English taught programs. Now, if any of you are maybe going to the Italian high schools in Istanbul or no Italian B2 level, of course, you have way more degrees to choose from, a lot of choice because it is an Italian university. But if those of you, most of you are looking to study in English, then I guess that the most of you will be going to Milan. Brescia is where we have our physics lab and where we teach applied physics for technologies and innovation. Cremona and Piacenza are always up north, as you can see from the map, but they are specifically their, let's say, their strength is teaching everything that is related to agriculture and food, because again, it's part of the food valley. And then those of you interested in cultural diplomacy, so politics, or for example, in medicine, you would be studying this in Rome because we own the 2nd largest hospital there, which, by the way, our hospital on campus, Policlinico Gemelli, is ranked by Newsweek, the American news, the magazine, Newsweek, as #1 in Italy as the best hospital and 45th in the whole world. And especially with how we dealt with COVID and that hospital managed with COVID, it really got some bonus points, let's say, on its quality, on its high tech, state of the art. And so that's very, very interesting for those of you, again, who are interested in medicine. Of course, look at the geographical location of Italy in Europe as well. Since internships are a big thing in Cattolica and trying to get employability skills, etc., it of course will be helpful very much when you are looking for internships also across Europe. Maybe you want to travel for work, or maybe you want to travel for pleasure. It doesn't matter. The location is obviously very, very important. Key thing here is Cattolica teaches subjects that are related to the territory. Frankly speaking, I personally don't think it's enough to say, yeah, my friends go to this university, Milan. I think I'll go to Milan as well. Take it to a different level. You need to start thinking, why should I choose this city? How does it help me when I have to look for part-time jobs, or when do I have to look for internships, when I have to start applying for real jobs? What is there surrounding me? So for example, in Milan, we are centrally located. So of course, it's much easier to go and do things and go to headquarters of different companies because you're in the center. In Rome, there is a hospital right outside. We're not in the city center because, of course, there's a huge space. Piacenza and Cremona, we teach food because it's related to the territory, but think about it, it's much cheaper living costs. So there's also different reasons why, again, Cattolica teaches different subjects in different cities. I think most of you, or a lot of you, have been to Milano. Again, I'm not here to tell you it's my city. So of course, I'm always very passionate about Milan. It's not a coincidence as well that a lot of the more famous universities at international level are in Milano, because it is the most international city in the country. So of course, from airports to English movies and cinemas to cuisine, different restaurants, it is the city where you sort of, as an international, you probably fit in a bit easier and quicker. It is the city, it's maybe not the most beautiful city, not like Rome or Venice or Pisa or Florence, but it is the business city. It's the economic capital of the country. That is why we teach economics, and that is why we teach finance. It's the city with the most consulates after New York. So again, another great place to study political science. And it is always ranked as the best student city in Italy by QS rankings as well. Brescia, lesser known, but very important, very, very important from an industrial point of view. Here, your experience, we have a brand new campus in Brescia. I still need to go visit. I'm very excited because the two programs that we have there in English are exceptional in their student faculty ratio, very small classes, but that means, of course, a lot of more attention on you. And of course, the employability of that is incredible. It is a beautiful city. It's important to have a good lifestyle. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It has a very strong industrial textile industry as well. And it's very close to Milano. So again, if your favorite band is having a concert in Milano in the weekend, of course, it's not a problem to come take a train, and 1.5 hours you're here. Cremona is a very rich city because of all that it has in terms, even of foreign investments, when it comes to the food-related industry. Very famous for the violin museum. It's worldwide as well. If any of you play the violin, you probably have heard of Cremona. But again, we have a new campus there, state-of-the-art technology and laboratories to help you study and practice what you're studying. And Piacenza, it's very close by. So we often put the two campuses together. Agricultural heartland, again, very, very important from a logistics point of view. Amazon has the largest headquarters in Italy, in fact, in Piacenza, because they can logistically distribute it to the whole of Italy, very close there. And again, Piacenza and Cremona, think about it. If budget is a big aspect for you, they will have cheaper living costs than Milano and Rome. I mentioned our hospital in Rome, Policlinico Gemelli. We just had the Pope the other day come and do the official opening of the academic year as well. What to say? The Eternal City. I have hearts in my eyes every time I talk about Rome. It is an amazing city to go and live in. It's in many ways, it reminds me of Istanbul from the chaos that can be there. It's noisy, loud, but there is so much happening, and it's a fantastic place to experience the Italian sort of student life experience as well. The campus is huge. There are sport facilities on campus as well. Let's say that you have the benefit of the space that, for example, the Milan campus doesn't have as well. Whoops. There we go. Okay, if any of you are big numbers lovers, here's some numbers for you. We are hitting our 100 years of Cattolica. This year is a very important year for us. It's our centenary. It's founded in 1921. There are currently 7 undergraduate programs in English. Everything else is 30 plus programs are at postgraduate level. All 100% taught in English. And of course, as I said, for Italian, there's way more. We have 40,000 students, out of which just under 5,000 are international. One thing I care to say is that I studied in the UK, and I can tell you how internationalization in the UK is. It means a lot of numbers from maybe less countries. In Cattolica, we do few numbers from over 100. I mean, there are 150 nationalities on campus. Turkish students are actually the largest, let's say, quotation of quota of international students, but we really get students from Vietnam right through to Colombia. Now, probably my most exciting, it doesn't look exciting, this slide, I have to admit, but I'm very excited to tell you why Cattolica. Again, I'm talking out of personal experience. I am very international myself. I studied outside Italy, and when I had started working in Cattolica, these reasons are the ones that I feel are the ones that are always improving and are basically what give me the courage and the strength to carry on in my job, falling in love with my job every day. I'm very proud of Cattolica for these particular aspects. First of all, we're private. The fact that we're private means that we have more options, let's say, from a financial point of view, but also from a strategic point of view, from a human resources point of view, to invest in services for international students. Domestically, if you look at the Italian university scene, again, I told you there's 96 universities, not necessarily, it's not a country like the UK or the US that decided to become international and to recruit international students 100 years ago, 50 years ago. Italy started late. Cattolica has been one of the first ones to do that. And we can see that because we do invest a lot in international students. I'll give you a couple of examples for services. The fact that we have academics, the fact that we actually even have local representatives for 10 years to understand, what university's life is like, to help you with the visa process, is an example of that service. I don't expect you at 17 to be able to manage every aspect of yourself without even traveling. So services is what makes us very different from a national perspective. You pay more for private university, but I really think you can see how this is reflected also in our scholarships, all this kind of stuff that we're going to see when in a few minutes. There is a strong recognition of the individual. I often like to joke, I don't think Cattolica is chasing you for money. Cattolica actually cares to have maybe less students, but the ones that are actually going to be contributing to society, those that are actually going to bring a valuable contribution in there. That's why our classes, we don't care about having 300 people in class for all the programs, especially the English top programs. It is very much about the individual. That is why you have a tutor, which other universities don't necessarily offer, that there is a support system in place. And then, of course, I'm guessing all of you are big fans of rankings. So let's also deal with that. We're multidisciplinary. Maybe you saw already through our website, through Academix's profile, that we have many different subject areas, which is fantastic because you're so young that when you come and you have only 3 years, right? In Turkey, you have 4. In Italy, like most of Europe, you have 3 years to do something. And if you may think, I'm scared, like I don't know if after 3 years I'm still interested in economics or finance or political science. But guess what? If you go and study in a multidisciplinary university, you will have the influences of the differences of the touches of different faculties also inside your subject. So you could study economics from a psychological point of view, from a sociological point of view, etc. So out of all the faculties that we have, 14 subjects are in the top 300. Just close your eyes. Think how many universities, for example, in Istanbul there are, right? How many courses of economics or how many courses of psychology are being taught? How many, right? If you think about that from a country perspective, take that to a global perspective, you can imagine to be in the top 300 is not easy. So, for example, medicine is top 150. economics, psychology, all well within the top 200. So again, always think about it from a global perspective. So very proud of our rankings there. But one of my favorites is this one, jobs, because most of us go to university, yes, to get critical analytical thinking, to become adults, but also because we have to work afterwards. So even though no university is a job agency, we are #1 in the country for employer-student connections. So we try very hard to play like matching website, dating website. There is you, there is the company related to your program. We try to match the two together. Internship agreements, over 6,000 companies, career days. Some of them are also faculty career days. So not just general career day, but even just, for example, Faculty of Finance does its career days. So it's up to you to be proactive. If you learn Italian, you find a job even quicker. But university will really, really try and put you in touch with the relevant employers. So when I talked about student services, this is just some key examples, okay? Now, I know accommodation is a big issue, so let's talk about it straight away. It depends on the campus. Milan doesn't have accommodation because we're in the city center, I was telling you. Rome, for example, yes, it does. However, since most of you won't know the city inside out, we always provide a list of recommended accommodation options. We do support you in learning not just Italian, but other languages to keep that, again, that cultural international IQ up and going. Sport facilities, there's a healthcare center on every single one of our campus as well. So, and there's options as well to talk to students, international students of other universities. We work with partners, organizations, which is a fantastic way to do networking and to meet even more students. Very important. If you think that it's enough in 2022 at this I'm Turkish and I am coming to Italy and I'm amazing. Well, yes, it's a fantastic step, but now employers are even more picky and they want even more international experience. That is why it's so important during your program of study to try as much as possible to go and do even more abroad options. Internships, double degree options, Erasmus Mundus, it doesn't matter, okay? The key thing is that you learn languages, that you keep moving. That is what is important. You can also do your thesis abroad and even get scholarships to do your thesis abroad. And we work with Ivy League universities, 580 plus partner universities in Europe, outside Europe, in America, in Australia. There's really a lot of options to go and travel the world. We have macro areas that we're going to deal with, okay, in terms of studying and in terms of programs. So let's start with the undergraduate degrees. Now, just a quick word about each of them. These are some of these are exceptionally competitive. So if you are interested for 2022, you need to refer to Academix now. You need to start getting your name in, especially for the program that is already open, which is medicine, all right? But for all the other programs, we start in December, but you need to start understanding now if you need, what are the requirements, what documents we need, etc., because I want you to apply early. Communication management focuses on food and fashion. Okay, this is the big diversity. There's many universities teaching communication, but none of them focus on food and fashion, which is the major Italian export. Economics and management is super popular. The first 2 years are exactly the same, and in your third year, you split and specialize either in economics or in management. Finance, we are financial capital. Italian Stock Exchange is just 15 minutes away from university. Finance is a new program, 100% in English. Again, you need to be, of course, good with numbers, as of course for economics and management. International relations and global affairs. Remember what I said about Milan having the most number of consulates, pretty handy. And the fact that you actually have so many different nationalities in class. Why, you could study about China, but you could actually turn your head and talk to a Chinese student on your same course. That's something that is a big plus as well. And international relations and global affairs does have an important aspect on numbers. So make sure you're okay with numbers. You don't have to be a maths genius, but you do need to be comfortable with numbers. Psychology is incredible because in 3 years, you cover so much of psychology: clinical psychology, neuroscience, organizational psychology, HR, child psychology. So in 3 years, it's very intense. You will really get asked, you can understand which part of psychology you like and whether you want to continue down the scientific route or you want to stop after 3 years and maybe go, for example, in marketing, okay, which obviously does a lot with psychology as well. I shouldn't have a favorite program, but I do, and that's food production management. I think it's incredible the amount of the world needs people to study this. By 2050, there is not enough food in the world. This is the United Nations stat. Like it's just the reality of things. It can be pretty depressing if you think about it, but if you think that you may also be the ones that change this, it's incredibly exciting. This program focuses on the production of food. It's not agriculture in the classic sense. It's a lot of science, lab work, but it's the production of food, the food chain system, and how to do this in a sustainable manner. And this is taught in Piacenza. Last but not least, medicine and surgery. Very important to note, there is an admission test for medicine and surgery. It is not the IMAT, which is what most Italian universities offer, especially the public universities. This is not us. So we have our own test. That is why we apply. You have to apply early so you can practice for our test. There is only 80 places every year for medicine, 50 non-EU and 30 EU. So it's actually easier to enter if you are a non-EU student, like I guess most of you are, than if you are an EU student. And this is very different from most places around the world. So if you're interested in medicine, it's well worth talking to academics about it because it's a fantastic opportunity if you actually manage to sit for the exam and get an offer. It's a very exclusive program in that sense. Now, if any of you are for postgraduate level, so maybe you are finishing university in Turkey right now, and you are thinking about doing postgraduate study. Okay, the main thing I need you to know is in Italy, like in Spain, like in France, there are 2 types of programs: 2-year master, 1-year specializing master. Which one you do depends on your background. So for example, if you're an engineer, you may probably go on a 1-year program, not on a 2-year program, because it's more flexible in entry requirements. And let's say there's less theory. So you don't necessarily need to have studied exactly the same thing at bachelor's. If instead you want to do a PhD, if you want to stay in the world of research, you must go for a 2-year program. In Turkey, I believe there is the same. You have the thesis and non-thesis program. The 2-year is with the thesis, the 1-year program is without. Okay, but you must look at the entry requirements. So go and talk to academics about it because you need to very carefully look at the entry requirements for each one. And of course, what you're interested. If you don't care about research, if you want to go into the world of work quickly, you say, I want to come do 1 year. I've studied something different, then the 1 year is perfectly fine. It really depends what you want to do after. Okay, I cannot tell you everything about this you would fall asleep for all of the programs. So I'm just going to show you the list of programs that we offer at 2-year. All of these start in September every year. So now we're talking September 2022, or if some of you are still in university, September 2023. You can see that some of the programs are in Milano, some of them are in different campuses. All of them, of course, have the faculty ranking behind them. Some of them are as, let's say, open as banking and finance to something very niche. So sustainable viticulture and enology. We have a huge range. One thing that makes Cattolica super different, okay, like for example, everyone teaches management is not something different if you look at the word, but if you look at the program content, you will see it's very different. Don't just look at the university program name, you have to look at what each university focuses on. So for example, management has business labs. And actually, my colleague is a student of who's just recently finished a management program. So if any of you are interested in management, for example, I can happily set you up with a call with my colleague, for example. But essentially, you can see that these programs are multidisciplinary, and a lot of these, for example, physics for technologies and innovation, were not created because the university thought, I need to find a job for the professor. It wasn't like that. It's because the industry required it. So for example, there's a lot of engineers and there's a lot of people doing business, but who can do both? Very few people. This is what the world needs now. This is what the industry needs. That's why our programs are thought in terms of what the actual current industry requirements are. How do we know this? Because we talk to them and they talk to us. So that is why you have to always look at the subject curriculum to understand if the program is interesting or not for you. And then here are the one-year programs. So again, these specialize into the most different topics, from international screenwriting and production to, for example, international relations, which is advanced global studies. So again, this is every September or October or November. We also have some programs starting in January that are one-year programs. And notice that there is the option of doing an entirely online program. So if any of you are, for example, currently working, you're not ready to move to Milano and you want to do an online program, notice that there is the International Business Online program as well, also an executive version as well. If you are wanting to study in Italian, there are many choices to go through. Pretty much every single faculty will offer a program in Italian. Just go on our website or talk to Academix and you'll understand what they are and what their requirements are. Something boring for students, more important for the parents, I think. Money talk. Okay, the important thing is to understand in Cattolica, it's about where you are generating income, where you pay taxes. Some of you may have a European passport. Some of you may even be Italian by passport. It doesn't matter. If you are paying taxes, your family's paying taxes in Turkey, you will be classified as a non-EU tuition fee payer. Does that mean you're going to pay more than the Italians? You know what? Usually no, because you have scholarships that the others don't. So undergraduate programs cost just over 8,000 euros a year. Medicine and surgery is a different category, let's say, and it's just under 16,000 a year. Medicine is actually, I like to say this thing. It's the cheapest of the private universities in Italy teaching medicine, but it's the highest ranked, top 150. So this is a good way to think about medicine as well in Cattolica. Our postgraduate 2-year programs are just under 9,000, and the 1-year programs range between 7,000 and 12,000, depending on the program. The scholarships that we offer on the 3-year and on the 2-year programs are merit-based. So since we don't take in tons and tons and tons and tons of students, we generally are quite very generous, so that if you get an offer, you probably get a scholarship as well. The scholarship is not full. You never study free of charge in Cattolica. You have to pay something, but at least it's a reduction. Okay, so it's a tuition fee discount, let's say. So really, most of you should be thinking of just under 5,000 euros for an undergraduate program, or just under 6,000 for a 2-year program. On the 1-year program, it depends. It's very hard to get a scholarship. There are some, but there you also have an interview. So it's going to be a little harder on a 1-year program. But okay, it's there. There's 20%, 30%, up to 50% discount on the 1 year. Living. Now, I told you Milan, Rome, of course, more expensive than Piacenza and Cremona, but as an average, you want to consider 10 to 12,000 euros a year, regardless of the city. Probably for Milan and Rome, you want to think more like 12,000. For Piacenza and Cremona, you're probably okay with 10,000. Okay. In general, living cost-wise, accommodation is the most expensive aspect. Then as a student, you have discount on food, the canteens, on transport, etc. But usually accommodation is the part which is going to cost a bit more, all right? But with 10 to 12,000, you will be fine. You will be surviving okay, and have a comfortable student life. And on top of this, of course, you have to think about the tuition fee. I did care to say one word about if you hear about scholarships given by the government, okay, there are also some in Turkey, this is becoming more and more popular, and I think it's very wrong, simply because you're right, there is also government scholarships, okay, along with Cattolicas, but they are very, very risky to think, okay, I'm going to get it. These are based on family income. There is no way of knowing in advance, and you have to reapply every single year. It's not an easy application. That is why we say, Cattolica says, listen, to international students, we suggest as a non-EU student, you accept our scholarship. It may be less, it's never going to be 100%, but it's guaranteed for the whole duration of your program. Instead, the other one, you don't know if you get it. And what if you don't get it? What are you going to do? Are you going to quit halfway? So just be very careful when you're talking to Turkish students or other international students, or if you're doing your research, just to be careful of what to expect, okay? Because you always need to have backup budget, always, all right? Now, in terms of entry requirements. So the important thing is if you're in high school and you're doing a Turkish national curriculum, you do need to pass the YÖK exam, okay? TYT, AYT exams at the end of your year. This is not a Cattolica requirement. This is an Italian government requirement, okay? You need to pass it with the minimum grades, but you need to pass it. If you're doing the IB diploma, then you are not required to do the YKS exam, neither if you're doing A-levels or an American diploma, all right? We don't have a minimum GPA, even if you're looking at postgraduate study, we don't have minimum GPA, but we do look at subjects. So are you interested in economics? We're gonna look at mathematics. Are you interested in physics for technologies and innovation? We're gonna look if you've done statistics. So it's important to be, let's say, good in the subject that is relevant to what you're trying to apply for. On our website, if there is a specific requirement, we say it, of course, okay? Let's say, generally speaking, if you're gonna go with economics and finance, at undergraduate level, we will need IB standard level or higher level in application interpretation, or if you're doing the national diploma, we want at least an 80 in mathematics, okay, from the Turkish system, for example. If you want to increase your chances for faculty that require a good mathematics, you can also consider doing the SAT, for example. For all the programs, there's different requirements when it comes to English. Undergraduates, different from postgraduate. Generally speaking, you need an IELTS of 6 or 6.5, depending on the program, and TOEFL, anything usually between 80, 84, okay? Italian is not required unless you are applying for the Italian top program. Applications are open for medicine. They will open in December for all the other programs. If you've registered for the webinar, so Academix will be able to tell you, and even myself, you'll receive an email from the university to say, hey, applications are open. So at least you need to get prepared. We have different deadlines. Don't wait. Not only do you may have to do a visa, but again, some of these programs really are competitive. So there's no point. Now we are in November. Why should you wait until March to apply? All right. Even if you haven't finished school or you haven't finished university, if you're in your final year, submit that application as long as it's nice and complete. Okay. So obviously it should be as complete as possible an application. Talk to Academix in case you need to do your IELTS, you need to do your TOEFL, or whatever it is that you may be missing. I'm pretty much done talking to you. I hope I stayed within the 30 minutes. I did. Actually, I went a little bit over, but I can now leave space for question and answer. I know that this was a lot of information. Maybe you have a whole lot more. Keep in touch. Keep in touch. Again, you'll be receiving an email from myself. My name is Aishah. If you want to drop me a line, that's great. And one big important thing is if you apply through Academix, you don't pay the application fee. So guys, you really have nothing to lose. Just make sure you have the entry requirements, okay? But get those conversations going. and let's try and have your application received as soon as possible. I will be your point of contact within Cattolica, so probably I'll be the one replying to your emails. But make sure you ask all your questions, and yeah, that's it for me for now. So I'm just gonna sort of stop sharing my screen so that Selçuk, you can help me with the Q&A as well.
Actually, several questions are waiting on chat board.
Perfect.
Hopefully the students are still with us, but just in case, I will be asking whatever they just asked from top to the down. So the first question, actually, I already answered this question, whether you provide Faculty of Law at Cattolica at
We
English.
do, but in Italian.
Yes.
So not in English.
Yeah, hukuk fakültesi İngilizce olarak arkadaşlar sadece İtalyanca mevcut. Aslında Cattolica'da çok bölüm var. Fakat İngilizce olarak sadece belirli bölümlerde İngilizce eğitim alabildiğiniz için yani bölüm var ama İngilizce sağlanmayabilir. Another questions, probably the answer will be the same. Mohammed is asking whether you provide educational science in English third degrees.
Not in English.
Yes.
Italian again.
Again, yeah. Eğitim bilimleri için de keza geçerli. İtalyanca olarak sağlanıyor. Another question from Özlem regarding the medicine faculty. She's asking, is there a cadaver subject will be taught during the medicine faculty?
It's only for, there is the option, yes. Of course, it's not a regular part of the program, and there usually is towards the end of the 6 years. There is if that is the area that you are specializing in, then yes, there is that option. Yes.
Alanınız gerektiriyorsa böyle bir dersin olduğunu, hani bu dersin olup olmamadığıyla alakalı bir kısıtlama olmadığını söyledim. Alanınız bunu içeriyorsa kadavra eğitimi de veriliyor. Another question from Ismail. Actually, you mentioned that there is no faculty of law at Cattolica at English third degrees. What you can recommend for this kind of prospects who already study law but would like to study something in English at Cattolica?
A lot of lawyers, I mean, of course, it's your interest. So you have to say, what are you interested in, right? I know that a lot of lawyers at bachelor level have applied, for example, for international relations, international cooperation and development. They've gone into management, for commercial law, for example. Honestly, you have to tell us, you have to see which aspect, why are you not considering law at, why you're not specializing in that. So we do accept lawyers, but it depends if political science or management, or what is it that they're interested in, basically. Logistics, what is it? Law is something that everyone needs. So yes. Even a university has its lawyers. So obviously you have to decide what you're interested in.
Another question from Osman regarding the international baccalaureate programs. He's asking whether you accept IB degrees. If yes, what is the minimum score?
24 points officially. So you just need to get the IB diploma. That doesn't mean that we accept everyone. So it depends what you're interested in. So if you're interested, for example, in economics, we need, as I was saying before, application interpretation, higher level mathematics, or for example, analysis and AA, essentially. I forgot the word for analysis and approaches. And that is standard level or higher level. So important thing is that you always tell us what you're interested in, and we have to see if there's a subject specific requirement. But the university will not do a conditional offer upon you getting 40 points. Officially, like the hard bit is to study before. And then what if you get an offer, we just ask for 24 points for you to obtain that diploma.
Actually, another advantage of the IB holders is they may have some exemptions to provide TYT and AYT exams during the pre-enrollment procedure, and also minimum point is 24 is requested by the embassy to be waived themselves from the pre-enrollment procedure during the
you don't need to give a dichiarazione di valore, which is a boring. I won't go into it now, but there is, even when you're applying for visas, there is a little big plus, which is that document requirement. And of course, you don't need to give English.
Exactly. And also the minimum point requirement is 24 by the embassy as well. So they will also waive themselves from
less
this
than
requirement
24
as
points.
well.
you don't have a diploma. That's the reason why.
Yeah, it's
24
minimum.
points is the actual minimum requirement. Yeah.
That's right. So I am just dragging it down to see more questions. Another question just asked it, will the SAT exam help with applying or getting a scholarship?
Not for the scholarship. It will help for the, well, you could say, argue that if you apply and you get an offer, there's a high, of course, you could be getting a scholarship, but the SAT is helpful if you are applying for economics and management or finance and your mathematics is not necessarily good. Otherwise, no, I mean, if you are a fantastic student at mathematics in school, no need to do the SAT. It's for us to have extra proof that you are okay with numbers. But if you don't need it, if you're a good enough student, then to us, we don't need that. And certainly not for programs like psychology or communication, where the mathematics is not important at all.
Actually, another question is already answered by you, but I will also ask it, but I just miss it. Sorry.
Yeah, it was for psychology. Someone asked if we do psychology in English. Yes, we do. Absolutely.
The question was, do I have to study foundation year if I want to study medicine?
No. Foundation year is only if you have 11 years of schooling, for example, which pretty much no Turkish student has. I mean, everyone has at least 12. So foundation, you can, if you are in high school now and you are getting a full diploma, whether it's Turkish IB, American A-level, doesn't matter. You can apply straight away for medicine. Apply to sit for the test, and then the hard bit is the test. Obviously, you have to try and be in the top 50 to get an offer straight away. For any of you interested in medicine, if you are not in the top 50, I say don't cry too much, because we make an offer to the top 50, but that doesn't mean that everyone will accept. So even this year, we went down even well to 100, 120. So it's always better to try and do the best you can, because there is an option of getting an offer, even if it means it won't be immediate. It may be, for example, in July, in August, it can go as far as September, but at least you have a chance.
I think I should bring some explanation in Turkish for the others as well. Arkadaşlar, soruya istinaden İtalya'da tıp okumak için herhangi bir hazırlık vesaire okumanız gerekmiyor. Belki de tıp okumanın en kolay olduğu ülke İtalya diyebilirim. Yani Amerika'da bir tıp okumak isteseydiniz öncesinde bir 4 yıllık üniversite bitirmeniz, sonra MCAT sınavını geçmeniz vesaire gerekiyor. Keza İngiltere'de A-level okumadan, en az üniversite kadar bir üniversite öncesi bir 2 yıllık bir eğitim, tıp okuyamıyorsunuz. Ama İtalya'da böyle bir şey yok. Liseyi bitirdikten sonra devlet üniversiteye yerleşmek istiyorsanız IMET, eğer Cattolica'nın tıp fakültesine yerleşmek istiyorsanız da Cattolica'nın kendi tıp sınavını kazanmanız yeterlidir. Cattolica'nın sınavı IMET'ten daha önce oluyor. Genellikle Mart sonu, Nisan başı gibi gerçekleşiyor. Yanlış hatırlamıyorsam bu sene 6 Nisan'da gerçekleşecek önümüzdeki sene. Ve 65 sorudan oluşan 65 dakikalık bir sınav. İlk 50'ye girdiğiniz zaman zaten yerleşiyorsunuz. Ama bu sene biz defalarca örneğini gördük ki ilk 50'ye yerleşemezseniz de daha sonrasında Cattolica'dan sizlere offer gelebiliyor. Çünkü bütün öğrenciler Cattolica'dan aldıkları ya da yerleştikleri zaman teklifleri kabul etmeyebiliyorlar ya da farklı opsiyonlar değerlendiriyorlar. O yüzden ilk 50 içerisinde rankinginiz olmasa bile daha sonrasında Cattolica tarafından size medisinle alakalı offerlar gelebiliyor. Onu söylemek isterim. Another question, is there an application fee for master's degree? You already
there is an
answered,
application fee that for all programs, but it is waived if you apply to Academix. So yes, but no. So yes, but you can, I mean, if you don't apply to Academix, I have to ask you it. But if you apply to Academix, you won't pay it. The only exception is medicine. The application fee of 160 euros for medicine cannot be waived because it covers the cost for the test, which other programs don't have. So for master's program, you go through Academics and you'll be fine. No application fee.
Aishah'ın söylediği gibi Academics'in bir fee waiver'ı var. Normalde zaten bir application ücreti ödemeniz gerekiyor ama bizimle başvurursanız resmi kayıt ofisi olduğumuz için herhangi bir ücret yok. Ama Cattolica'nın medicine exam'i için 160 euroluk bir application fee ücreti var. Bu ondan muaf. O sınav ücreti olduğu için başvuru ücretinden ayrı bir şey. Sınav ücreti hariç bütün application fee'ler sizden alınmıyor olacak. İngilizce Tıp Fakültesi hangi kampüste? Bunun cevabı Roma ama yine de Ayşe'ye soralım. Özlem is asking, where is the campus of the medicine faculty at Cattolica?
Rome. Remember, listen back to the recording and you hear it's amazing about Rome. And why? The why is because we have the hospital there. It's not common. A lot of universities teach medicine, but not every university has a hospital on campus. You physically are breathing the atmosphere of medicine. So definitely a huge plus point because you start seeing patients from third year. Most universities, you start from fourth year. So yeah, in Rome, definitely.
Söylediğim gibi Roma'da ki okulun Ayşe'nin bahsettiği bir kendi hastanesi var ve bu çok büyük bir artı. Çoğunlukla okulların böyle bir imkanı olmayabiliyor ve diğer okulların aksine 3. sınıfta hastalarla ilgilenmeye başlıyorsunuz ki keza diğer okullarda da 4. sınıfta yapılırken. Another question about the scholarship opportunities during the medicine faculty.
There are no scholarships for medicine. There is the only one that I was talking with danger, let's say, which is the one of the government. So you may apply, it's the only option from our end to apply for the government scholarship, which is money of government and Cattolica put together. But remember what I was saying, if you listen, was basically, yes, apply. It's the only option you have for medicine, but just make sure you have option B in case it doesn't go to plan. Because there is no way of knowing in advance for 100% sure guarantee you get it or you don't get it. And frankly, you should distrust of any agency that tells you I can guarantee that you have it. It's you cannot legally, you cannot have a guarantee whether you get it or you don't get it. So yes, you can apply, you must apply, of course, it's your only option, but just consider that in case it doesn't work, you must have option number 2, otherwise we don't want you to leave because of financial reasons for sure.
Aslında bu söylediği bütün bölümler için geçerli. Ayşe'nin söylediği tıpla özellikle değil. Hani tıp özelinde bir burs yok. Fakat devlet tarafından verilen burslar var. Bunlara başvurmalısınız. Başvurabilirsiniz, başvurmalısınız hatta ama bursu tamamen burs çıkacak üzerinden bir plan yapılmamasını tavsiye ediyoruz. Bu sadece İtalya için değil, bütün ülkeler için geçerli. Hani burs çıkmadığı takdirde de bu eğitim ücretini ve yaşam masraflarınızı karşılayabilecek bir ekonomik stabilitenizin olması lazım. Burs çıkarsa artı ama çıkmadığı takdirde de bu ücretleri karşılayabilecek bir durumunuzun olması gerekiyor dedi. Another question is, if possible, can you talk about master programs like IELTS exam? Can you? Thank you.
Sure. Okay. I'm answering some of the basic questions that I see as well. Okay. So it depends which program. Some of them are a little more, some require a bit more, some require a bit less. On average, I would say 6.5 of IELTS for a postgraduate program, for a 2-year program. For the 1 year, because there is an interview, you actually don't even, if you don't have IELTS or TOEFL, it's okay, because you have an interview, so they test you there. Also, I know in Turkey, there's a lot of universities that teach 100% in English. If your program in your university is entirely in English, you don't need to even give IELTS or TOEFL. So you need to check per program, but probably most of the programs you're looking for are 6.5 of IELTS.
Mm-hmm. Another question regarding the required IELTS score for medicine.
6.0. I think it was someone called user. I sent it to you, the what's it called, the link, but yeah, it's 6.0 for IELTS and 80 for TOEFL for medicine.
Another question from Osman. He's asking, do you have psychology in English?
Yes, I did answer and I sent him the link. So yes, Osman, we do having psychology in English, ridiculously competitive. So make sure you apply by the first deadline, really.
Is an international relations program good to specialize in marketing or logistics?
International relations can be used for everything, from the consulate, the diplomat that you see, right through to what I do in my job, right? Which is talking to international students. So honestly, it's if you are interested in the international perspective of logistics, okay, yeah, sure. But it is political sciences. So it's a multidisciplinary approach. You do a bit of economics, you do the classic international relations. You need to think about which aspect is the one that interests you. Are you interested in logistics? Then you should consider, do you want the international perspective or do you want the management perspective of logistics? Then you need to change degree. So I know I'm not helping you too much, but you need to really think about all these programs are useful in everything. In marketing, you need people who do online digital strategy and people who do languages and people who do international relations. So you think about whether you're interested, which part you're interested more, if that makes any sense.
Another question from Mina is asking, which subject is important if you want to study psychology? Which subject do the...
We, again, multidisciplinary. So we have students doing very well in science. We have those who've never done science and are doing humanities. It's not subject specific in the case of psychology, but they are psychologists. So you will have a motivation letter and an online test. An online interview where they really make sure they test you, not content. It's not something you study in school, but why are you interested in the program? Have you understood what we teach in psychology? What is the characteristic of this program? So they want to make sure you've done the homework in understanding the program.
So another question from Özlem regarding the medicine faculty, but I didn't get the question. I would like to clear a bit more. Özlem sormuşsun, tıp fakültesine girmeye hak kazandığın ve başladığın takdirde nerede? Türkiye'de mi, İtalya'da mı ya da Katolika'daki tıp fakültesini mi kastettin? Ve AİMET'e girme ve devlet okullarına medical school okuma hakkı derken oradaki okullar hangisi? İtalya mı, Katolika mı? O okulları biraz açıklayabilirsen soruyu sorabilirim Ayşe.
Böyle cevaplayabilir miyim?
Tabii. Siz de sorabilirsiniz İngilizce olarak direkt. Ben de sorabilirim.
Dedim ki hani orayı Katolika'yı kazandığım takdirde İMAT'a tekrar Eylül'de girebilir miyim ve o İMAT puanımla herhangi bir devlet okuluna gidebilir miyim?
Bu soruyu Ayşe'ye soralım. Bunu çok genellikle tavsiye etmiyoruz. Çünkü Katolika'dan kazandıktan sonra belli bir deadline içerisinde offer'ı kabul etmeniz ve bir ödeme yapmanız gerekiyor. Yine de soralım. Bakalım ne diyecek. Aishah, this is the most case that we have seen for the IMAT perspective. So the student is asking, what if I just pass the exam of the Cattolica and I keep my rights until I commence for IMAT exam? Will I still keep my rights?
The problem is that if you you do the test of Cattolica, you get an offer. You confirm that offer. Okay, because if you don't confirm the offer by paying the first installment, we think you don't want to come and we go to the next person, right? We ask someone else. So imagine you say, yes, I want to go to the highest ranked Italian university for medicine. I pay 4,000 euros, I pay, and I have my offer confirmed. You need to apply for a visa. So that is the problem. I mean, if you don't apply for the visa, you do the IMAT, you don't get what you want, it's too late. So frankly speaking, do the homework before. You need to understand why apply for the IMAT, for which university, why apply to Cattolica. They're not the same. So if you get an offer in Cattolica, I would suggest you go with that. Not because I work there, to me, it doesn't change anything. I'm saying for you, if you get an offer, I would take that offer. If, of course, you don't have the finances for Cattolica, then you probably don't even sit the test. I mean, that's fine. But you should really think about why are you possibly considering the IMAT. But it is extremely complicated because there's the visa as well in the middle.
Bununla alakalı açıkçası karşılaşıyoruz bu tip kezlerle. Öğrenciler Mart-Nisan ayında Katolika'nın sınavına girip kazanırsam ya da kazanamazsam AİMET'te ne yapacağım? Çünkü iki sınav arasında neredeyse 6 ay civarı fark var. Katolika'nın sınavı genelde Mart-Nisan gibi, mesela Mart sonu ya da Nisan başı gibi. AİMET'te daha çok Eylül'ün ilk haftası ya da ikinci haftası falan oluyor. Öyle olduğu için de siz şu an Katolika'dan diyelim ki sınavı kazandınız ya da kazanamadınız. Sonuçlar açıklandıktan sonra zaten sizin sınavdan sonraki ilk bir ay içerisinde en maksimum zaten sizin ödeme yapmanız gerekiyor. Bu da 4.000 euroluk bir depozito ödemesi. First installment dediği ödemeyi yapmış olmanız gerekiyor. Dediği gibi bu ödemeyi yaptınız, yerinizi rezerve ettiniz. Daha sonrasında da AİMET'e girdiğiniz takdirde AİMET'te bir okulu kazandığınız zaman bu 4.000 euronuzu yakarsınız. Birinci sıkıntı bu olabilir. Ya da şunu yaparsanız, işte ben Katolika'yı bekleteyim, IMED'den offer alabilirsem IMED'den devam edeceğim dediğiniz zaman da Katolika o ödemeyi yapmadığınız takdirde maalesef ki IMED'den kazanamadım, hadi ben tekrar Mart ayındaki opsiyonuma geri döneyim, kazanmıştım ben Katolika'yı dediğiniz zaman Katolika da size diyor ki ödemeyi yapamadığın için yerini başkasına verdik diyorlar. Yani bunun ikisini aynı anda yapmanız çok mümkün değil ki. Zaten Katolika'dan size offer aldıktan sonra pre-enrollment işlemlerinizi Katolika için başlatmış olacaksınız. Vize işlemlerinizi Katolika için başlatmış olacaksınız. O yüzden IMED'den bir şey kazandığınız zaman sizin için birazcık geç olmuş olacak. Böyle bir clash var. Önceden karar vermek gerekiyor. Hani maddi durumunuz Katolika'nın tıp fakültesini karşılamaya yetecek gibi ise bunu önceden karar vererek direkt Katolika mı ya da ben okula ne kadar yıllık bir masraf ayırmak istiyorum, buna önceden karar vererek önceden IMED mi ya da Katolika mı, buna Katolika sınavından önce karar vermeniz daha sağlıklı olacaktır.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, you can ask.
Okay,
Please.
so hello, nice to meet you also. Well, but I just wanted to ask, what if we get in Cattolica and then after that, what if I want to change my school to another country? You know, like let's say I study in there for like a year and then I want to like change the country and study the same thing in another country. Is that like possible, or do I have to like study for like whole 3 years or for 3 years, like, you know, like all of it?
Yeah, no, so no one's obliging you, I hope, in any country to stay where you are. You're a free person, free woman, and of course you can interrupt and move. Now the question is, knowing that we often get questions the other way around, right? Students in other universities trying to come to Cattolica, you need to start with the idea that transfers are very difficult to do and they're risky. Because, so you come, for example, you start in Cattolica and you decide to go, let's just take for the sake to a Dutch university, okay? You need to check how much that university will recognize of Cattolica's programs. So, and this is what we do and vice versa. If someone wants to transfer to Cattolica, we have to see how much from that other university we can accept. Some programs might be a little easier, you know, like economics can be a bit general. If you're doing something like medicine, it's extremely difficult. So to be honest, if your end destination is another country, another university, I strongly suggest you go try as much as possible to go directly there. Because whilst, again, transfers are possible and it happens, it can be really complicated. There may be extra exams to do. You may not have everything recognized. It's and if you're changing subjects, I mean, almost forget it. Like then it completely changes. So again, you have to really think in advance why you would even consider that, and is it not better to just go straight there if possible. Foundation year is different, of course. Foundation year is not a transfer, so that's a different matter.
Thank you so much for answering my question. I was
You're
kind of
welcome.
nervous about asking, but I just wanted to say you're so nice and you're actually like you can understand the way you're like speaking English and everything, because I'm Turkish, but I taught myself English, so like I think most of the Turkish people can actually understand you like so easily, because like your English is not too hard to understand, which is amazing. I just wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Çok teşekkürler Pia.
Another question from, thank you very much for the question, which comes from Pia, by the way. Anyway, Ekin Su Işık, are we supposed to send our TYT and AYT exam results while applying or after we
No,
took the exam?
I already answered. I answered directly, but it's a good question for everyone. Of course, if you have it already because you finished, yeah, send it by all means, because we don't give you that condition, and you know you already have it. Fantastic, so we can see it. But of course, if you haven't done it yet, you cannot send it. So no problem. Submit the application, not waiting until June, and when you get it, you will need it even for the visa. So you can submit it afterwards. But if you have it, submit it straight away.
Another question from Ekin again, but can we say that the more IELTS score, the more chance to get an offer?
No, we have a minimum. So as long as you have the minimum, that's fine. I mean, if you did not have the minimum, you wouldn't even get the offer. So it's important that you get that for the offer. For you, it's of course better. The better you have a language, the more you understand, the better you can get on with life in general. But for the university, it's fair to ask just for the minimum, of course.
Another question from Neil regarding the IELTS requirements for economics.
Answer that as well, 6.0 and TOEFL 84.
This question is a bit interesting. Actually, I'm not so good at this, but I will be leaving it. She's saying, you mentioned that there is no cadaver. Actually, she mentioned that you mentioned that they can just study. If their subject requires to study cadaver during the medicine, they will be facing with this subject during their study. But how they would like to pick their majors during studying medicine, because in Turkey there is no expertising during the studying medicine, and then they will be picking the majors.
This is not a specialization. During the 6 years in all of Europe, you have to do medicine. I'm just saying, usually, from what I've heard, I have not studied medicine myself.
She has another question, actually. Maybe you can just top it up a bit. And she's also asking, anatomy is a mandatory subject during all the entire education. That's why maybe she's asking why cadaver studying is just depends on the major.
Yeah, it's not about the major. It's not about the specialization. It's just I think there's a very only, I don't know what the specifics are, and we would need to ask to one of the professors, but not everyone has to cover that aspect. So regarding of which subjects that you're doing, if there's a choice or not, I think it goes according to that. It's not about, everyone is doing the same. It's not a major specialization that doesn't exist in 6 years of education, but I think it's only a restricted group, which I don't know how it works, but we can ask if you drop us an email, that if the professor probably feels that you need to see the cadaver to do something. Otherwise, there's obviously technology and state-of-the-art laboratories, et cetera, et cetera. So I know that there is a place, because I've visited and they were saying these are the places where there's the cadavers, but I don't think it's from what I perceived, it's not hey, 80 students, let's look at a cadaver, right? It's more about probably having a specific need that the professor thinks, okay, you need to look at this, or if you want to do something, to autopsy, or in your final year, you think next year I'm going to do specialization in surgery. Okay, maybe you need to open up a body. I think it works that way, but we can double check with the medicine faculty.
Another question. She would like to study medicine, but she says that she has 5.5 IELTS score. She's asking.
You need to redo it.
Yeah.
You need to redo it, but the good thing is you don't need to do it by the test. So again, it's November, you have plenty of time, but important is that by April, I suggest that you have the IELTS score, but you will need to redo it. Definitely.
Kemal is asking global business management program. Actually, does global business management program needs maths?
No, maths is something that we look at from the high school for undergraduate. Global business management is a master's of science, 2 years, but it is faculty of economics along with law. So if you have done in university something like economics or management, that will be preferred. Otherwise, it's a bit difficult to start. If you've never done numbers and you start with that at master's level for 2 years, it's a bit too much. So I suggest, depends unless you've done English literature, if you've done any other business or economics, it should be okay.
May I speak?
Sure.
Okay, I would like to explain more actually, because I am graduated 2 months ago.
Congratulations.
Yeah, sorry?
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy about it. And my bachelor's degree is international trades and logistics.
Okay.
So that's why I'm looking for something else, but not too much mathematics, because I'm not so good at all. I can do it enough because, as you know, I'm graduated.
Yeah.
So that's why I choose that one also. That thing also in the Piacenza, right?
Correct.
Okay.
You've done your research. It is, and I think you will be fine. I would submit. I would want to see your application. I think it's you have a good background for it. It's not, this degree does not have a specific mathematics requirement, unlike others. That's why I think you're okay with it. You
Thank
should
you very
definitely
much.
go to one of the consultants and submit the application.
And also it needs 6.5, right?
Yes. This one has actually a big, let me just double check as we talk, because this one
Correct.
has a bigger requirement on that. Give me a second. Yes, correct. 6.5 and 85 of TOEFL. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Wish I didn't.
Erasmus actually is not the topic of today, maybe, but maybe Aishah can tell more about the Erasmus opportunities during the study at
Well, I
Cattolica.
mentioned it because it's there. Yeah, I cannot give you the details, otherwise it takes another hour, but you definitely have the option to do Erasmus and Erasmus Mundus, so also, of course, outside Europe. But I would say, don't just stop at Erasmus. I mean, not to say it's little, but there are so many other opportunities to go that Cattolica has done, from internships to volunteering with credits to language programs, the opportunities to go even to Stanford, Boston University, London School of Economics, summer school. I mean, so many options to go abroad and do an experience and in a different university in a different country are a lot. And we have an entire dedicated office, like a big office. They're the biggest office inside the Cattolica International Group that are specialized only in sending students of Cattolica abroad and then getting those credits recognized. So when you come here, you definitely have huge events about it. But if you are specifically looking at something, we can talk about it in advance and I can share with you brochures and websites about it. But there are really, again, over 580 partner universities. So yes, Erasmus is definitely an option.
Sıradaki son soru cevaplanmıştı. Tekrardan kaçıranlar olabilir diye söyleyelim. Which high school grades do you consider for our application for medicine like biology or chemistry?
Official answer, unofficial answer. Official answer, none, because we give equal opportunity to all. So as long as we don't care how you prepare for the exam, as long as you prepare for the exam, we say we have these questions. Obviously, biology and chemistry are huge. They're part of the exam. So of course, if you are doing already sciences in school, this is a huge plus. You don't have to do it extra, right? Instead of someone who doesn't. So you don't, if you look at our requirements, the subject specific requirement, but I am telling you in the tests, and this is transparent information, there will be asked a lot of chemistry and biology for sure.
Aslında sorunun cevabı içinde gizli zaten. Ekstra bir şey sormuyorlar. Ya da biyoloji, kimya notlarınız önemli olması alakalı bir not yok. Fakat zaten tıp sınavını kazanabilmeniz için geçmeniz gereken Cattolica sınavında 18 tane biyoloji, 12 tane kimya, 8 tane fizik, matematik, yani notlarınızın belirli bir seviyede 65 sorunun 18 tanesini sadece biyolojiden geldiği bir sınav düşünün ya da 12 tanesini kimyadan geldiği bir sınav düşünün. Bunlar için de birer dakikanız olacak. Böyle olduğu için de hakim olmanız gerekiyor. Belli bir seviyenin üzerinde olmanız gerekiyor. Ama düşük puanınız vardır. İşte sınava hazırlanarak bunu yukarı çekmişsinizdir. Önemli kısım bu açıkçası. Another thing he mentioned that, or she mentioned that, since she is using the username. I'm confused when I ask Aishah the minimum score of IELTS, she says 6.0, but she just said 6.5.
Depends for which program.
Regarding the medicine, I guess.
6.5 is for some masters. Undergraduate is 6.
Bu şekilde. It was the last question. Anlayamadım. Tıp fakültesi mezunların USM dediğiniz tam olarak nedir? Biraz açabilir misiniz onu? Benim bilgim yok ne oluyor.
USM sınavı. USM sınavı. Amerika sınavı.
İçeriğini bilmediğim için tekrar belki bir ekstra bilgi verirseniz nasıl bir şey olduğu alakalı. Çünkü
Amerika'da denklik sınavı.
Amerika'daki MCAT değil ama USM.
USM'li. Akreditasyonu var mı? Yani?
Okay.
I think it's a question about the USMLE.
Yeah, USMLE is an exam which they can
United
just
States
gain
medical licensing exam.
Exactly, which can gain some accreditation from Italy to United States. She's asking whether they can get exemption of these accreditation once she just would like to transfer for the United States from Italy?
The United States does not ever exempt USMLE. They always require step 1, step 2. In Cattolica, which is very US oriented for medicine, you can study for an exam which is similar to the USMLE, so it's good preparation, which is called the iPhone. But you will be required to do step 1, step 2, and pass it if you decide to go to the States. Yes.
I guess it was the last question. Arkadaşlar sorularınız varsa ekleyebiliriz. Süremizin sonuna geldik ama son bir sorular varsa alabiliriz. 2 dakikamız var. Olmadığı takdirde de bugünü bitirebiliriz. Aishah, I'll be using this break to thank you very much for all your effort. As usual,
well.
Yeah. Hopefully, it was also very informative and fruitful for the participants today. If they would like to get any more questions, they can get support from our counselors as usual. So we will be reaching them based on their locations. We just assign them one counselor for each participant, so they will get some calls and emails after this meeting, so they can just track their inbox and also their phone after the event for the follow-up.
Exactly. I'm just going to put now, someone just asked for the medicine content.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put the link on the Zoom chat. There you go, to user.
Aishah, actually, maybe you should better to type down your email address whether they have direct questions.
Yep,
They can
I'm
also
going
reach
to put it
directly
now
to you
for
as well.
everyone. Get in touch, and it is international.inquiry.
Did you add the link, by the way? I couldn't see at the chat board. Maybe it was just for private.
Yeah, oh, I sent it directly. Here. If anyone else wants to see what our medicine exam is like.
Yeah, that could be nice.
Medicine entrance exam. There we go. Remember, for those of you from medicine, let's apply early because I want you to access to the online simulator and practice. So practice makes perfect. Rica ederim, very welcome to everyone. Thank you for saying thank you. I hope I did not bore you and you have a better idea. I hope to welcome you to, well, Milano, because that's where I am, but I hope to welcome you to Italy when I'm visiting the other campuses as well.
Hopefully.
Yeah, inshallah we'll make it happen. All right.
Thank you very much. Arkadaşlar katılımınız için hepinize teşekkürler. Dediğim gibi etkinliği yükleyebilirsem YouTube'a yüklemeye çalışacağım tekrar izlemek isteyen olursa soru cevap için. Ama etkinlikler devam edecek. Bizim sitemizi takip edebilirsiniz. Aishah'ya sorularınız olursa direkt Aishah'ın yazdığı e-mail adresine ya da Academix'e bugün nasıl ulaştıysanız yine web sitemizden form doldurabilirsiniz ya da size ulaşan danışmana da ekstra sorularınızı iletirseniz o Aishah'ya irtibat kurup sorularınızın yanıtını alacaktır. Hepinize teşekkürler. İyi akşamlar diliyorum. Aishah, take care. Bye bye.
İyi akşamlar.
İyi akşamlar.
I know that.
İyi akşamlar. Bye bye.
Ciao. Bye bye.
Ciao. Bye bye.